would spare no expense to reunite the families that have been
Beto
separated.
O'Rourke versus Julian Castro. Beto had a good night, but this was by far his low point. Julian saw a point to pounce when he was talking about his immigration policy, something that's pretty passionate to Castro. And Castro really kind of came out of left field tonight. He did really well. And when I say well, I'm a social coach, so I mean socially. I'm not talking about the issues, but in this next election, social skills are going to be a lot more important than you think, arguably more important than policies in a lot of instances. So let's break down this heated interaction and see what was really going on behind the scenes.
We would not turn back Valeria and her father, Oscar. We would accept them into this country and follow our own asylum laws. We would not build walls. We would not put kids in cages. In fact, we would spare no expense to reunite the families that have been separated already. And we would not criminally
I want to point out one thing. Beto always does a good job of continuing to talk over people who try to interrupt him. He doesn't get razzled. It doesn't throw him off his frame of thought, which is important. He does a good job of that, even though Julian is pretty persistent here.
In fact, we would spare no expense to reunite the families that have been separated already. And we would not criminally prosecute any family who is fleeing violence and persecution. We would make sure...
Secretary, let him finish, and I will give you his policy. But let him finish. Let him finish, please.
The only sign he gave of discomfort was that little tongue in the mouth thing. That shows a sign of stress. You'll see here right at the end.
Let
right
him
there.
finish, please.
Little discomfort.
Yes.
We would not detain any family fleeing violence with regional stakeholders, so there's no reason to make that 2,000-mile journey to this country.
Secretary, I'll give you 30 seconds.
Let's be very clear. The reason that they're separating these little children from their families is that they're using Section 1325 of that act, which criminalizes coming across the border, to incarcerate the parents and then separate them.
Does he sound like a guy who's pretty sure of himself? He's pretty convinced of what he's saying? Yes. And what else is he doing? He's speaking slowly. So many people were on the clock. I mean, they only give him 30 seconds. They have so many things they want to say. They don't realize by talking slow, even though you get less words in, it's more impactful. And people look at him and they say, that just feels like more of a leader. That feels more presidential. So the thing that Castro did that was good is even though he's on the clock, he's taking his time and he's being very deliberate in the way that he presents his side.
Some of us on this stage have called to end that section, to terminate it. Some, like Congressman O'Rourke, have not. And I want to challenge all of the candidates to do that. I just think it's a mistake, Beto.
And that's important because he says politely, he says, I want to challenge all the candidates on the stage to do it. That's a nice way to say it. He's not like, and Beto's a liar for doing this and this. So that's polite. But then he goes straight at him and addresses him personally. But Beto, we'll watch it right here.
I just think it's a mistake, Beto. I think it's a mistake. And I think that if you truly want to change the system, then we got to repeal that section. If not, then it might as well be the same policy.
Let me respond to this very briefly. Actually, as a member of Congress, I helped to introduce legislation that would ensure that we don't criminalize those who are seeking asylum and refuge in this country. If you're fleeing...
Does Beto sound offensive to you? Not too bad. A little bit more. When he's talking, he sounds a little bit more defensive than Castro, but not too terribly.
If you're fleeing desperation, then I want to make sure that you're treated with respect.
I'm still talking about everybody else.
But you're looking at just one small part of this. I'm talking about a comprehensive rewrite of our immigration laws.
That's not true.
And if we do that, I don't think it's asking too much for people to follow our laws when they come to this country.
I'm talking about millions of folks. A lot of folks that are coming are not seeking asylum. A lot of them are undocumented immigrants, right? And you said recently that the reason you didn't want to repeal Section 1325 was because you were concerned about human trafficking and drug trafficking. But let me tell you what. Section 18, Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Title 21, and Title 22 already cover human trafficking and drug trafficking. I think that you should do your homework on this issue. If you did your homework on this issue.
That's the first time it got a little bit nasty. And I actually think that's the only mistake Castro made, maybe the whole night. The debates literally just happened, so I haven't seen any of the reviews from the talking heads. I would guess that they'd say Castro did really good tonight. But when he starts out by saying, maybe you should do your homework. That's a little bit of it. Maybe you should look into it. Yeah, well, maybe you should butt out of it. It's just a little bit. He lost his very confident, very presidential, I should say, frame when he did that, and he said it twice. Go back and watch that here.
I think that you should do your homework on this issue. If you did your homework on this issue, you would know that we should repeal this section.
And it's a shame that he kind of wrapped up his point with that kind of snide point. I don't think that helped him at all. But I want to ask you, when people talk down to you like that, maybe you're at work or something, and someone's like, well, maybe you should learn how to do this. Do you have a good comeback? Are you quick on your feet? Being able to debate and spar with people is important in the workplace. It happens with your friends, and a lot of people don't feel that comfortable with it. Let's see how good you are. You want to take the quiz? Even if you're not that good, that's fine. We'll figure out what your comeback style is and give you a few pointers specifically on how you can improve that. So when you go in to a conversation like this, Castro, when he pounced on him like that, he knew that he was going to get some back and forth with Beto because he was putting him on the spot. But you can go into it confidently when you know you can come up with those quick things to say, but it's not intuitive for a lot of people. You need to learn how to do it. So if you want to take the quiz, I'm actually going to make fun of you through the screen. We'll see if you can come up with a comeback. You can go to trashtalkquiz.com, or I'll put a link in the description below as well. Now, I want to ask you, did you see anything in this interaction that I didn't point out that stood out to you? Let me know in the comments below. What did you think about both of their sides and their stances and the way that they kind of defended themselves and attacked themselves? And if you haven't seen this video yet right here, I highly suggest you click here to watch it. I'll talk to you there.